Hey everybody, it's my 125 gallon native tank and I'm using my GoPro here, so I want to stitch this all together. And the main bulk of this video is actually going to be going over and looking at my filter. We're doing a water change at the moment and it's almost 9 o'clock at night, but I have been putting off doing a filter change on this tank for so long. I don't care how late it is tonight, I'm getting in there and we're doing that filter change. So without much more ado, let me get it all pulled apart and I will see you over at my workstation and we'll see what the inside of that filthy canister is going to look like. Alright, and here we are. So I hope I have the camera angled well enough. I always get it either too high or too low. Normally I would have gone straight into the bathroom and poured some water down the toilet to make this easier to manage, but I actually want to see what we're dealing with. So we just pulled the lid off and came straight over here. So we're going to get a first look together. You're going to see exactly what I do. So that's pretty disgusting. Now normally I would recommend not cleaning out your biological material, because all this stuff I'm rinsing down the drain, or a lot of the stuff I'm rinsing down the drain, is actually my good biological material. But you also need the water to be able to flow through all of this stuff for it to be effective. And my tank itself has enough biological material in it. And I'm not rinsing this, I'm not sterilizing this. For those of you who don't know, I have well water, so there's no chlorine or chloramine or anything like that in my water. So I'm not doing any damage at all to the existing bacteria that's in here, and the stuff that's going to stay in here is going to be just fine in my water. If you've got municipal water where you've got chlorine or something, don't do this, or you will actually be wiping out all of the bacteria. Maybe not all of it, but you'll be doing a lot more damage than I'm doing. Put it that way. I'm definitely knocking the bacteria back a little bit, but I'm not doing so much that it's going to be an issue. That is just so disgusting. This has got to be the worst I've ever let a filter get. I've never seen one that gross. The water is barely even running through it. Yeah, that is foul. That is so nasty. And you can see we're already starting to get some damage from the UV light. And this is a model 404, not the 304 that is the typical one that we're all familiar with. This is a 404, and there's no way to turn the UV light off. It's just on all the time. So I have no choice on this one. I didn't realize I had this thing packed with so much biomaterial. Must have gone crazy buying the scrubbies here. And the bottom tray is all filtration. I don't have any of the biomaterial at all. It's all just the batting that we're going to see here in a minute as we put it back together and get going again. So you'd think this was all filtration as packed in there as it is and gross and nasty as it is, but this is all, each tray has a liner in it that acts as a little bit of a filter, but the bottom tray is just stuffed with filtration. But it's so nasty. And you can see this one's already very much damaged. That's why it's down here on the bottom. The damage has already been done to it, so I've got it on the bottom where the light won't hit it and damage it anymore. Oh, we still got one more tray in here. Alright. That's just gross. Oh, that was so gross. Alright, well, I always tell you, you get what you get with me. I'm not necessarily saying this is how you should do it. I'm just, this is how I do it. That is by far the worst I've ever let a filter get. That was so nasty and foul. Let's get this water out of here. I've dumped out shop vacs that didn't have water that was that nasty in them. So what I do is I take the roll of polyfill, I unroll it about yay wide, I snip a slice off, then you can unfold it into a big old sheet like this, then I fold it back up to about the size I like it. Make it about yay thick. And there is my first tray of filtration. These trays, I already pre-cut these in advance. As I said, I usually just put something like this in each one of these trays as a liner. And then I can put all my biomaterial back in it. However, I had this stuff packed in here. And we just go right on along. That's good enough. I don't need to put all these back in there. I didn't realize I had so much biofiltration in there. I knew I wanted heavy biofiltration just because I knew it was going to be a heavily stocked tank, but I didn't realize I had put quite so much in. So this will be more than enough. Alright, so we'll go get it back over to the tank, get it set back up, and I'll see you back over there. Alright, we've achieved maximum drainage and we're going to start refilling it now. But one thing I want to show you before we get the tank back up and running is how I put this filter back up. Once again, I hope the camera angle is working out here. These filters, sometimes if you wait till the tank is full and then you open the valve, you know, it feels like you're closing it. You put that valve down, you're actually opening that valve when you put the lever down, and then that allows the water to flow in. So sometimes that feels like you'll get a nice good draw and you'll get some bubbles flowing back in. Other times you have to use the siphon pump and just pump and pump and pump, and that can be problematic, I'll say, and I'll leave it at that. There are times where I've got out and I've used my foot to pump these things to get water flowing back through them. So if you really want to just avoid that altogether, what I do is while the tank is filling, I just take this and I go ahead and I fill it up, not till it's full, because remember, you got to put the top back onto it, but I fill it up until that top tray is about 2/3 full of water. And then I go ahead and get the tank, fill them back up, and then I put the lid and everything on, and I leave it alone. I still wait until the tank's full before I open that valve, you know, fold that valve over, which opens it up. But I fill the canister with water first, and that way we don't have to worry about pumping and air bubbles gurgling through and all that kind of stuff. So having one of these hoses obviously makes it a lot easier. If you're running jugs of water, I think one of these canisters holds about 3 gallons of water. This 404B is a little taller than the 304B, so this might hold a little more than the 304B, and I think the 304B holds almost 3 gallons. Like I said, if you're using gallon jugs of water, you'll have to fill 3 of them up. You might not quite use all of that 3rd gallon, but you will use most of it. I feel like I'm watering the garden down here in the basement. So that can get back to filling. Now I hope I put those trays in the right order. I mean in the right direction, so that these clamps are on the right sides, which they seem to be. Oh, sorry for the camera angle there. So now, presumably you're still looking in the proper direction here. This lever, while it's up like that, I know that seems like it's open, but that technically is closing the valves that allow the water to flow here, which allows you to pull the whole unit out. When you fold that down, you're now opening those valves and allows the water to flow through. So we're going to leave it sit there like that. I have learned I always leave my door open while my filter is not plugged in and not running. That way I don't walk away and forget about it, because that door will always be my reminder that the filter is not running or plugged in or anything. So now it's just a matter of waiting. I'm going to keep my eye on the tank, make sure it doesn't overflow, and I'll see you for one last segment once we're filled up and running. Alright, and here we are much later. It is actually about 24 hours later. I was going to come down here this morning and do the final segment of video here. It was late last night and I didn't want to shoot the final segment of video with all the detritus and everything still swirling around the tank. And one thing led to another, and the tree guy was here all day, and I've been having chainsaws going and trees thumping outside and so on and so forth. So I've not really been down here doing anything at all in the fish room. And so we're gonna wrap up this video with just this little bit of an after look. Nothing really going on. This is the first time I've been in here since I turned the lights on this morning. I don't see anything exciting, different, no changes, no dead bodies anywhere. We got one of my black nearite snails, mystery snails right there. And we've got another one hiding back there, so they're still safe and intact. Don't see any crayfish bodies. I don't see any fish bodies swirling around. So all looks pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and call that the end of this video and say thank you for watching. Make sure you're subscribed, that way you won't miss anything I got coming up. I hope to get some more stuff done here over the next few days, and you don't want to miss any of that. And of course, don't forget this one is my 125 gallon native tank. So thanks again, and I'll see you real soon in the next one.